slow.
Okay,
for some
okay.
reason. Maybe
It
the
says it-
weather.
There we go.
Okay, we're live now. Hey guys, good morning.
Okay.
Good morning.
Can everybody hear us? Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Can
Yeah.
you hear me now? Take away the
Still
biggest
says
part.
scheduled on my screen.
What's that? No, it's
It says-
live. We're live.
Okay.
We
Guys,
are
you
live.
can you hear us now? Can you hear us, guys? Stacia,
Hello, hello.
Kathleen, can you guys hear us?
Sorry, I was having technical difficulties this morning. But,
Mindy says, Mindy, can you hear us? Yes, yes, yes. They say that they can hear us.
Okay, good.
Okay.
all right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. And I just want to say real quick, some of you sent me some beautiful Christmas cards and a few little, I say Christmas gifts, and it made my day. And I thank you for that. Very, very, very nice. Thank you so much. It really did, make me happy, made me smile, and I appreciate that. So, I came on to talk about, I don't know if everybody watched the Law and Crime documentary. I think it was very well done. I was happy with it, but there were some things that were not accurate. And I think everybody here knows that those are the things that bother me the most, some of the things that are said. And I guess I kind of understand, like Detective Mitchell from Ocean County Prosecutor's Office said some things, but I understand, Detective Mitchell didn't come into the story until after Corey was unalived. So, he really doesn't know what happened prior. He only knows what, the homicide part of it. So I'm not saying he did anything wrong or said anything wrong, but I want to clarify a couple things that Detective Mitchell said. As far as Gallucci, the slimy attorney, I mean, I pretty much want to delete everything that comes out of his mouth, but what am I going to do? He's still running with his, I don't remember what his story is at this point, but anyway, there were just a few things I wanted to come on and clear up. And, I wanted to talk about the appeal and, just other things. And this is my way of doing it, by coming on here and talking to everybody and hoping that people watch this later if they're not here now. And I always try to answer questions, if I can, because, a couple content creators have covered Corey's story, and I do appreciate it, but a lot of their information is not accurate because they're getting it from, other sources that don't have the accurate information. So that's why I do this. It's not for any other purpose than to get the facts. But, Toddy helped me out doing this, what do we call it? A video, little clips of the Law and Crime. And I have certain parts of that video that I wanted to discuss where people are saying things and I wanted to clarify. So I don't know how that works and if we can.
You want me to roll the clip? Roll the clip.
Can we do that?
Play that clip.
Let's see.
Christopher Gregor met Brianna Michelot at a house party in Monroe Township. At the time, Brianna was 16 years old. Christopher was, I believe, 19 or 20 at the time. That's when their relationship began, and from what we gathered throughout the investigation, that is when Corey Michelot was conceived.
So did you wanted me to stop it there? Did you want to address that?
I did.
Okay.
First I want to say Detective Mitchell, I surely hope he's promoted or something within his department, because he is an amazing detective person. He put his all into this case. So I don't want anybody to think I'm bashing him or I dislike him. He is wonderful. I really appreciate all he did. But like I said, he's only going with when he came into the case, which was homicide. That's what he does, so that's what he knows. He doesn't know, he looks at a court document and says, the mom had custody, so it must be because Bree was a drug addict, because that's what everybody was saying. And, I've said it a million times, but I took custody of Corey. Bree and I had an adult conversation. And when we knew that the state, when I went in, Bree didn't go in and apply for any benefits. I did. I went to apply for Medicaid state insurance because I only worked 3 days a week and didn't have health insurance offered to me through my employer. So I needed health insurance for Corey. And I went to apply with Bree came with me, but I applied because I was head of household. Bree didn't work. She came to live with me in my home. And so when I applied, the lady said, well, you don't make that much money. You only work 3 days a week. You know, you can apply for this, that, and the other thing. She, you know, I said, okay, sign me up. You know, I'll take all the help I can get right now because I was going through a divorce and, you know, whatever. So it came to part of the application where you had to name the father. So I look at Bree and I'm like, you know, and she's like, yeah, I guess put his name down. We didn't know that you couldn't. I thought we had to. It was a question, you know, so we put his name down. Well, then that turns into we're going to send him paperwork and we have to get a paternity test. It wasn't on the birth certificate or anything. So that's where all that came in. And then, so that's when Bree and I decided, you know, I was going to take custody because Bree knew Chris had already threatened her with his dad's power, being the retired law enforcement, you know, and so Bree was concerned that it was going to look bad once the paternity test happened. And if there was court, it was going to look bad because she just came to live with me, was not working, had struggled with, you know, dabbling in drugs here and there. It was known. And so that's when we decided I would take custody. Nobody took Corey from Brianna. We went before a judge in Morris County in New Jersey, up in North Jersey. And the judge even said to her, yeah, you know, young lady, are you sure you want to do this? Is this what you want to do? And she said, yes. And he said, you do know you can come back here at any time and, you know, get custody back. You know, and that was what we did. Nobody took him from Brianna for this horrible drug, you know, addiction she had. This was a decision made between Bree and I, and that's what we did. So,
and it was really just based on insurance and economics.
And based on the fact that we knew Chris Gregor was a dirty son of a bitch and was going to fight her just to be spiteful. And it looked better having me, who had a stable job and a home, being the person that had custody. And it worked out for many years because he never won against me in court because he couldn't manipulate me. He could never do that. So he only got more involved when Bree took custody back. That's when the manipulation began, you know, because he could do that to her.
And it's not like Bree was not in Corey's life.
Bree was never not present. She always lived at home. She was the one who gave him his bath and took care of him. I mean, well, sometimes I might give him a bath because I just wanted to, but you know, she got him ready for school. She put the notes in his lunchbox. If, you know, we would take turns writing little notes when we packed his lunch. This is what we did. Bree's not a strung out, dirty scumbag in the gutter. And I hate that people think that about her. And, you know, some people were even questioning, oh, I hope she's okay with this new kid she has. You know, fuck off. She's fine. You know, it's
right.
ridiculous.
If only they had that kind of love from their parents, the people that are saying that, how she loves that grandbaby.
Right. But, you know, so that was one of the things I wanted to clarify. And then
let me ask you a question. There's something in the comments. And it's asked, I think, respectfully. They're saying that did Brianna ever say on stand that she lost custody?
Because at one point after she got custody back, after we relinquished my custody and she was fine and had custody and Chris had 50, she had 50. Chris and Bree both failed drug tests in a court setting at a court hearing. And she left the courtroom abruptly because she was upset and she knew that I was probably going to rip her hair out of her head. And she left court and didn't come back in after that. And so the judge being, you know what, this, you know, custody agreement, she's not going to have custody now. It's going to go back to, you know, it went to just Chris having and then Bree having visitation. But he failed the drug test, but it was for a different drug. So I guess it depends on what drug you're on, how that goes. So that's why she said that. And this never came out. Nobody did this. So
Okay.
Technically, yeah, I guess you could say she
You are glitching
do
really,
stuff
really
that he
bad.
agreed to.
You're glitching
Yeah.
really, really bad. You need to
But,
repeat that.
not the way it's being. How do I do that?
Repeat what you're saying because
What do
it
I
just
do?
split. There's a delay, obviously.
Okay, can you hear me better?
Yeah. So can you hear me at all?
Is it better now?
Well, hang on. I'm talking to you. This is going to be funny in the.
I
Okay. Hang on.
I
Hang
can
on.
hear
Hang
you.
on. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Wait. Stop, please. So what happened was we missed out on some of the paragraphs you said. So can you just, we understand that both of them took drug tests. They both failed drug tests, but one drug apparently was more preferred than the other drug. So that's how the custody thing came like that. And,
Right.
and so
And
I guess I guess we got that because I don't know what else you said, but you were glitching. So we couldn't really understand you.
Sorry, I
No,
didn't
that's
re-
okay. It's a computer thing.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the chat. It looks like it stopped on my end, so I don't know, but that's okay. I don't need to see it because I can't follow it anyway. But there's Mindy is in the chat, and she has a lot of information because she was here from day one with Justice for Corey and stuff. So I don't know if anybody can pay attention to what she's writing and if there's any comments or questions. I also wanted to clarify
So I
Detective.
could read what she's writing if you want, so that people later will be able to know what Mindy has said.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
want
sure.
to, okay.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to pin them. I can't pin them for you. That's the problem.
I'm
So
not
nobody
even
could-
seeing them. That's
I
the
know. So
problem.
let me help you out. Let me just help you out.
Sorry,
It
I'm
should
just
be on the
trying to-
right hand side. Are you in private chat or do you see comments on the right hand side of the
It's-
of the computer screen? I mean, of your computer screen while you're looking at it. On the right hand side says private chat or comments.
I see. Oh, here, wait, now it's back. I got it. I think it's just my computer. There's something going on. It's just maybe the internet or something. It's slow, but now I'm seeing the last thing I see is MB 8787
Well, it should say the time next to it, Rebecca.
50. What time? Yeah, so I think I'm catching up now.
Okay, but Mindy, Mindy at 10:47 wrote, David Gregor found out Chris was a dad from the state. Chris was forced to tell parents and pretend, and David Gregor took over. Chris went along with daddy. That's what she said.
She's pretty accurate on that, except that David Gregor was aware when Corey was about 3 and Chris got a DUI. He drove his car into a retention pond up in Flanders, New Jersey, and called Brianna because he didn't want anybody else to know because somebody might tell his dad. So he called Bree, and she went and picked him up and brought him to my house. And the next morning, she warned me that guy Chris is here. This is before I knew everything about what had happened, but I already didn't like him because I knew that he knew he had a child that he wasn't claiming or being a part of, So anyway, she tells me.
Hang on 1 second. Okay, hang on. I'm sorry. So there's 2 different streams going on. So Kathleen and Stacia, you guys are apparently using your cell phones. So you're not going to be able to read what's going on with people using the computer. So that's what's going on. So Rebecca, if you could pin her comments when they come up or somebody so that they can see it online, because they can only see the stream that they're a part of. They can't see the computer stream.
Okay.
Or there's 5 of us. There's only 5 of us that are on the comment section with the phone next to the title. If we all want to go out of this one and go into the other one, we can all be in the same stream.
I don't know if they're able to or not.
Okay.
Maybe.
I mean, people use their phones. Some people don't even have a computer anymore because, of what the phones do. But anyway, that's why you can't see it. Oh, Bouncing Tigger says she's on her phone. That's weird because I don't see an icon there for her phone. But anyway, that's what's going on, Rebecca. So if you see a comment, you need to, go to that comment on the right-hand side and click on it, and it will come up on your screen, just like we do on my channel, And this way people can see the most important comments.
Yes.
Sorry. I mean, she can't pick every comment, but any comment that she's talking about, maybe you could pin it so everybody could see it.
I'll do that. I'll be aware of that and try to do that. also, Detective Mitchell stated that the relationship between Chris and Bree began when he met her at a house party. Well, I don't know if raping someone and drugging them is considered a relationship, but
Mhm.
there
Got to be
was no
careful with
relationship.
those words on YouTube. Just so
I
you
know. I'm
know.
sorry. I
No,
forget.
no, no. This your. I just been giving you a heads up. So
That's
violating
exactly what I
somebody.
thought
Yeah,
too, Rebecca.
violating somebody. Maybe we could find other words, or you could use grape.
Yeah,
I don't like it, but you do whatever you
right.
want. I just want to tell you, you know, I just because you've asked me to tell you stuff, so I just want to tell you. So
No, I appreciate it. You know, so to say there was a relationship, they never dated. They weren't dating. He took advantage of someone. He was 21, she was 16. I believe Detective Mitchell said he was 19, 20. I believe he was 21. Bree was
Mhm.
16. And, you know, so I just wanted to clarify that. A lot of people, then why were no charges filed for that? Well, because I didn't. Are you guys there? I don't know what's going
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
we're
you
here.
didn't what?
Okay. I just
Yeah, we stopped at you didn't
got
because you
connected
didn't,
to
but it sounded like you had something else to say.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't file charges because Bree never told me the entire story until much later on. And then, you know, we did attempt to file charges and then Bree backed out. No, I can't go through this. You don't know what he's going to do, because he was always threatening her during the pregnancy
Hmm.
all along. You know, I'll ruin you. You know who my dad is? My dad is this, you know. And Bree backed out. And then I would go, you know, I would try to do it again. And I can't do this. I can't do this. You don't know what he's going to do. Like, she didn't want to do it, you know? And so I backed out. And then finally, once he did what he did to Corey, we decided, you know what, he should be charged for that. And Monmouth County prosecutor would not take the case. They would not charge him.
Mm.
So that's
I
what
don't
happened.
know what the what I mean, I don't know how, and I don't think that stuff should have like a timeline on them. But I know that
It
No.
wasn't that. It was just knowing what they knew, that another trial would be coming up with what he did to Corey. They said you have bigger things to be concerned about, which didn't make sense to me. I thought, why not stick him with everything he's done wrong? Why do we just stop
Exactly.
at one thing? But you know what? They were right. We did have a bigger thing going on, and I couldn't be bothered with it. Whatever they decided to do, they did.
it would have
They
been
didn't
his
take the
word
case.
against her word. It really would have
Mhm.
been his word against her word after
And
all
that's
those years. There was no proof there. You know what I'm saying? Any proof after all of that? And we could say
the only
Corey was
proof
the
was
proof.
the
Corey,
child,
right?
and we don't know. So that was that. That's why I wanted to address that portion of the law and crime. And it's like, nobody's at fault. I'm not saying they did anything wrong or Detective Mitchell did anything. He only knows when he came into the case and what information he was given.
Well, I think a
And
lot of
so,
us
you
who
know,
have been
I'm
here
not
listening to you from the beginning, Rebecca, we're all
bashing him.
screaming
I
at the
think he's
TV.
wonderful, and he should be leading. I get
Did,
why he didn't say certain things. I know we told him things, but I think he could only comment on documented things, because I mean, he can't risk his career being sued by somebody if he says the wrong thing, you know?
hey, Michael,
So, but
why would, I'm sorry, but why would we know that? He said she's in New Jersey. Why wouldn't we know that?
yeah, I don't know anything about Illinois recognizing
Or
father's
father's
rights.
rights.
I wouldn't know anything about that. Are you a father? Is that Michael, or I can't say? Are you a father and you feel like your rights are not being recognized? You need to go to your family court and speak up. That's all I can say. I don't know. I don't know Illinois law. But so, there was another portion of the video, Toddy, that you did, I believe, where Detective Mitchell speaks about when Chris learned he was a father, and that was also not accurate. I don't know if you want to.
Well,
that.
I'll push the button as soon as you tell me. Ready?
Yeah, we could do
Okay.
that now.
All right.
Christopher Gregor found out he was Corey's father approximately 2 years prior to Corey's death. It came about as a result of Brianna.
Now you know that that's not true, because
No.
he knew when he was born. He knew when he was
while
born.
she was pregnant. He tried to get her to abort the baby. He knew during the whole pregnancy. He came to my house in Florida when Corey was 2-3 months old and tried to buy a paternity test at CVS because he thought you could do it at home. He didn't realize you had to pay to send it to a lab. I guess he didn't have his master's degree yet, so maybe he wasn't that smart back then. Don't know, but he knew. He knew all
Right.
along. And so I don't, maybe these things don't sound like a big deal to some people. You know, maybe they don't feel these things are important and maybe they think, you know, I shouldn't be on here correcting them. But I think it is very important to say that he knew all along. His attorney even said that Chris found out when Corey was 5 or whatever, and that's not true. And the Gregors knew when Corey was 3 because I called David Gregor and told him, by the way, your son drove your Jeep into a retention pond because he was drunk and under the influence of drugs, and he's here at my house, and you have a grandson. And, you know, he told me that Corey should have been aborted. And I told him, you know, that as a Catholic, that's not what we do. And I told him to go fuck himself. And we hung up. So, and then they started, you know, after that, they started getting the paperwork for the paternity test and stuff from the court. And that's when they realized, like, oh boy, how are we going to cover this up or fix it? And they fixed it, didn't they? Because Corey's not here anymore. So,
I'll push play again.
sure.
Okay.
Now applying to the state for benefits for Corey. When she was applying for these benefits, she was asked to disclose the father's name, which she disclosed as Christopher Gregor.
So yeah, that covers everything. You want to play Gallucci? Go ahead. I can't stand looking at you. Want to puke?
I'm sorry.
Met her initially at a party. They must have gotten to know each other very well because 5 years later, he was tapped as the father of this child. He didn't remember her. He took a paternity test and lo.
Why don't you? Yeah.
He didn't remember Bree. He was obsessed with my daughter. He was a stalker. He was a dirty scumbag stalker that preyed on young girls, and she wasn't the first one. He didn't remember her. Are you kidding me? He stayed at my house in Florida. He doesn't remember that. You know, he doesn't remember going out to lunch when he stayed at my house in Florida when Corey was 2 to 3 months old, and he's trying to pick up the waitress at the restaurant we went to. He doesn't remember all that. I remember it. I remember Bree struggling to get the car seat carrier out of the car, and he just stood there, didn't try to help her or anything. Any man would normally try to help a woman struggling with something that was heavy, whatever. Not Chris Gregor.
Especially the mother of your child with your kid's thing. That's a no-brainer. Must not have had that degree yet, like you said. Must not have had that master's yet.
Exactly. And, you know, and Gallucci says, oh, they must have gotten to know each other pretty well. Yeah. Just like maybe your son when he did what he did to that girl. Remember that, Gallucci?
Yeah, you guys could look up, what's his name? The son's name?
Is it Andrew, I believe?
I think you're right. Yeah, you could look him up.
Andrew.
He's in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And just, you know, lawyer Gallucci's son.
Yeah.
Shit show.
You know, pretty much to my knowledge, if you drug someone, you can get to know them pretty well, not without they're not going to know about it, but you will, right? That's, you know, that's how he got to know Bree. He took advantage of her. So I want to make that very clear. And he definitely remembered Bree because he was obsessed with her. It was disgusting. He was a predator. And that's the facts, just like his son, just like Gallucci's son.
Behold,
Nobody was giving it up. They were taking it.
And they didn't get to know each other so well in the way that he says it.
No,
as if Bree was consensual, and clearly with what Rebecca says, that's not the case. She wasn't even conscious.
No, barely. You know, no clue.
Father.
For Corey, between Brianna and Chris, it varied through the years. Initially, Brianna had full custody. At one point, she lost custody, again, due to her addiction. Her mother, Rebecca, assumed full custody at one point. As Chris.
And this was well before, at the very beginning. This was before anything. Am I correct? Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, I explained that briefly before.
Right. Well, there might be some people have come on a little bit later. I know somebody came on a little bit later.
Yeah.
But so, okay.
Came into the picture The two of them ultimately shared joint custody, with Chris Gregor having primary residential custody of Corey Michelot and Brianna having visitation rights.
So that, everybody can say, well, there's a reason for that. But Rebecca explained that there was a drug test. They both took it. And they both failed it. But he ended up
I
with
feel
custody.
Right. I feel like the judge, because Bree ran out of the courtroom because she was obviously guilty of failing the drug test and failing me and Corey. And, so she left the courtroom abruptly. And I think that the judge was just making an example, like, okay, little girl, you're going to run out of the courtroom. This is what I'm going to do to you. I really do think if she would have came back into the courtroom, it never would have happened. I think the judge would have worked it out. And they were both made to go to drug counseling. They were not in rehab. And Chris never went, never did another piss test, nothing. Bree did everything they told her to do after the fact. Chris did nothing and still had 50-50 custody. Go figure. Doesn't make sense, right?
That's correct.
Not well. It's it just doesn't make sense. And when, they say Chris had full custody and Bree only had visitation, that was for a brief time. And what happened was when we moved back to Central Jersey, we moved into a school district that wasn't so great. And Chris lived at home with his parents in Monroe Township, and the school district was a little better, obviously a lot better. And before all the abuse and everything, we agreed that Corey needed to go to that school district. And so for that to happen, Chris had to have a half a day more during the week custody, or the child wasn't considered a resident of that district. So, that's how Chris ended up primary residential custody, so Corey could go to school in that district. And I explained the days of the week and how it went. We had Chris would drop Corey off at school Wednesday morning, and he would come home with us Wednesday afternoon and stay with us until Monday morning. So we had him more than Chris, but he had him at like 2.5 days of the school week so he could go to school there. So
Right.
Chris was spiteful and decided to move to Barnegat, an hour and 5 minutes from where we lived. So therefore, how was Bree going to pick Corey up and get him to school Wednesday afternoon and then get him back to school Thursday morning, Friday morning, an hour and 5 minutes away? Corey would have to get up at 5:30 in the morning. It was nearly impossible, and Chris knew that. And so that's why he was able to move that far away. He moved the furthest away that he was allowed by the court, which made it impossible. So Bree didn't just have visitation. He made it impossible for her to have her parenting time because he moved so far away. And so that's when the abuse really started happening. And that's when Bree started staying over at Chris's apartment so she could protect Corey. And while she was there, as long as she obeyed the master, she was allowed to stay. But if she denied his advances, she had to go home. And that's when the abuse would happen. Corey would be punished. And those are the facts. That's what happened. None of that came into court, but I'm telling you, that's what happened. So
That's unbelievable. Well, Mindy asked, she was like, Rebecca, discuss Brianna's drug use if you want to. Mindy wrote that.
sure. I'm trying to pin up that comment.
All you do is go to it and click on it, and it'll show up under your name or somebody. There you go. There you go. You see it? It did come up. It's under Jamie.
Okay. So yeah, she wasn't a daily drug user.
You don't want to
And-
leave that up there forever, though. Not that
Okay.
comment.
Which one? The
The
discussing
drug
her-
use one, you're addressing it, but now click on it because you don't want to leave that as your last comment. I'm sorry that we're doing this like this, but we did it live, and this is the way we're doing it.
Well, I just want to address it real quick, though. She wasn't a daily drug user. She wasn't somebody out on the streets, in a trap house or something. It wasn't the case. And if she used, she wasn't around Corey under the influence. She knew better. I didn't put up with that shit. And, so I guess, was she a drug addict? I mean, I guess, right? I don't know. Is that, what's the definition?
We go through this on Mondays.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this would be a good topic for that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. Is she? Was she? I don't know. But the way Gino explained things to me, he always said, I'm always going to be a drug addict. I'm just in recovery.
Yep.
If that makes sense to,
Yep, but that doesn't mean that it could be, she could be somebody. There's a difference between somebody that abuses drugs and a drug addict. We've had this conversation. So your
Right.
son called himself an addict, and I guarantee you he knew the proper definition of an addict because he was in the rooms. He went to AA and NA, so he knew the definition, and he called himself an addict. And with the comment that you just told me, then yes, he was, because that would be what an addict would say, because it is something you have forever. If she
Right.
abused drugs, she's not an addict. She could do without it. She just said, fuck it, basically, I'm
Right.
gonna, experiment or whatever. So I'm not gonna label her anything,
Right.
But she would be the one to answer that best.
Right. And, Gallucci used that, the night that she had taken Corey to the hospital, and that same night the judge denied her emergent order. She was stressed. And yeah, she did try to get some drugs, and she was going to use drugs that night, but she never did. And I get it. She was stressed. She was overwhelmed. I mean, and we talk about this on Mondays. What happens to someone who, has that addictive personality? That's how they deal with things. Let me take this drug. It's going to make it go away temporarily, but I get it. I used to eat when I would get stressed or upset. I would overeat until the point I would almost be sick, and so, I don't know. I just feel the need to address that and say that. And, like I said, maybe she is or was and will always be. I don't know. But I can tell you right now what she is. She's a wonderful, kick-ass mother who works full-time, goes to school, and cares for her daughter. And she has a great partner by her side and a good family. His family. We had my granddaughter's birthday party yesterday. She's turning 3 on the 17th. We had a
Happy
great
birthday
party yesterday. I call them my in-laws. They're Bree's in-laws. They were there. What a loving family. We didn't have this with Corey. It was just my family. We didn't have that other side. And that's what I wanted so badly for Corey. And we have that now. We don't know how to act, You don't know how to be when you have normal people who actually care for someone, and they care for us and Bree and the baby. And it's so nice to see that. We didn't get that with Corey, and that's a shame. The Gregors fucked that up. They missed out. They
sure did.
And they are responsible for Corey not being here as much as Chris is. I'm sorry, but they can deny and everybody can think what they want. But those people are just as responsible. They knew what was happening. They lied to DCP&P and everybody else. And shame on them.
Marissa Monroe is asking, what is Brianna going to school for?
Medical assisting.
Nice.
Very good.
I wanted her to do something else, but it wasn't my choice. So, anyway, how do I get this comment down? Because I know you told me not to leave.
Yeah. Well, no. Don't leave a comment that could be negative up there too long.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing about Brianna's drug use, you don't want to leave that on the screen for too long. You know what I'm saying?
No, I got it.
It was a legitimate question, but people could read it any which way, and you don't want to.
We know that. We know.
Yeah. So click on Mindy's comment on the screen once,
and it goes away, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how you get them to go away. I'm sorry that we're doing this live, guys. I really am. This is how we learn. It's how we learn, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't absorb it, but I'm trying. I won't remember it in 10 minutes. Sorry. But anyway, I just, I'm real grateful to have the other family. I don't mention their names and stuff. They don't need to be broadcast, but Bree has wonderful in-laws, a wonderful partner, a great father. And you can't help but think, imagine if Corey was here and got to experience the love of a dad, even though, Sean wouldn't have been Corey's real dad, obviously, he would have taken care of him like a dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a damn shame, that Corey was taken out of this world because of some scumbag's jealousy and spitefulness. That's what it came down to. And it's disgusting, it's really disgusting that these people, they all sat back and allowed this to happen. They're to blame too. And, a lot of people will disagree, but I lived it. I know what they did. I know what they told DCP&P. And, on paper, they all look better than us, So anyway, I don't know if, Toddy, you want to play the next?
Yep, I sure will. Sure will.
Thank you.
So this is Gallucci victimizes Corey because it was hard to read with the comment.
When Corey first came into Christopher's life, he was overweight. He had learning difficulties. He was not doing.
Did you want to address any of that?
Yeah, most definitely. So let me explain how the school system works. Okay. I wanted to get Corey, and Bree wanted to get Corey into a pre-K program. And in the township we were living in, the child has to have some kind of, I don't want to call it a disability, but something, learning disability. Well, Corey had hearing issues because he'd had several ear infections from an infant on, up through his whole life. Mm-hmm. And so because of not having those ear infections, when someone talked to him, it was like we were underwater. He didn't always hear. So his speech was delayed. So that got him into the pre-K program. He had a speech delay. So that's what Gallucci is calling a learning disability. But yeah, I mean, you guys saw Corey. He was fine.
Yeah.
He wasn't overweight. Did he get chubby at one point? Doesn't everybody?
Yep.
Look,
all kids do.
Chris was a fat ass. You saw him. Gallucci's a fat fuck. His kid is fat. I mean, hey, we're not all tall and thin.
Christopher moved into his family home and took care of Corey on a daily basis.
Yeah, right.
Was that true?
No. When, I talked about the residential custody, Corey stayed there the 2.5 days a week.
No, this was in the home of
in Monroe. Yeah. That's where
the family home, right? Where everybody lived, I guess. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
That's where the primary custody started because of the school district. And okay, did David Gregor do anything with Corey after school? Yeah, probably, but he couldn't tell you what grade he was in court, if you recall. Was he present in Corey's life when Corey stayed in their house? Well, yeah, how could he not be? But as far as this hands-on taking care of, if you call covering up abuse and the punishment that Corey received in your home, David Gregor, if you call that hands-on caring for a child, then I guess that's what it is. But that's not how I raise kids. Corey was always safe in my home. So anyway, that's that.
At approximately 4:51, did the defendant re-enter the room?
He did, at that point, yes.
Were you present at that point inside of room 6 with Corey?
Yes, I was.
And what was Corey's condition at that time?
His heart was not beating and he was not breathing.
Did the defendant exit room 6?
He did.
Did the defendant then ever come back to room 6 again?
No, he did not.
And who stayed with Corey?
We did. We were the only ones with him.
Christopher did not leave the hospital.
He did. The nurse told you who stayed with Corey. It was the nurse and hospital personnel, not that fat bastard. He was gone. Why is she going to lie? What does she have to gain? She didn't lie. He didn't stay. He was gone. He was not in that room when Corey died. He was planning his exit with his dad on the phone. And Daddy told him to leave because there was going to be a report of an unaccompanied death and he would be questioned at the hospital and probably detained. So you're not going to tell me that that bastard cop father of his didn't tell him to get the hell out of there. I know he did. It'll never come out, but I know he told him to. Yep.
Wow.
It's the truth. But we're glad that Corey didn't see him before he died. Can you imagine that being the last person you saw?
Mm-hmm.
The one that's responsible for you dying, and that's the last face you look up into. I'm glad he wasn't in there. I'm glad.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking, was how kind that nurse was on the
Yeah,
stand.
I
I was like
agree.
so grateful for her. Mm-hmm.
Me too. And like I said, why would she lie about who was present? What does she have to gain? She's not our friend or anything. We don't know her.
Well,
Why
even
would
the timing of the cameras show that he left.
Right. He
You know
never
what I'm
came back
saying?
into the room.
Exactly. The timing of the cameras,
And
show that.
Gallucci wants to play. Look at him. He was upset. Yeah, because he knew. Oh shit, I went too far. I killed this kid. Now what?
Yeah, I can't fix this.
Yeah, that's why
exactly.
he
I
was
can't
upset.
fix this.
That's what he was upset about. He wasn't upset.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you people, but they would have had to pry me off of that bed.
Oh, absolutely.
And Bree too. And we didn't get to be there. Do you know why we didn't get to be there? Because that scumbag wouldn't tell us what hospital Corey was in. He wouldn't tell us because he didn't want us to be there. Because us being there would have warranted cops being there, because we would have told what we knew if we were there. And he would have been detained and probably arrested that night. That's why he didn't want us there. That's why he told the nurse not to call Bree, because she's a scumbag drug addict. That's why. It's disgusting. But that's the truth. He left. Why is the nurse going to lie? She didn't lie. He left the hospital. They stayed.
Well, Mindy says prosecutors' digital forensics proved he left the hospital before Corey passed.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. But you know what's funny, Toddy? People only hear they hear Gallucci saying he was there. So then, while he was there, then they don't hear the other parts. They don't see the facts and the timestamps, and they hear something and they run with it.
Yes.
And
So, I mean, there's some stuff in the comments you might want to look at that they're asking. Like Kathleen, but I thought there was a comment up above. Anyway, Kathleen asks, didn't Chris take pictures of Corey before he took him to the hospital?
he took one picture, which was about an hour prior to Corey's death. His body was already shutting down. He was gray. He was not alert. It was, that was the last picture. That's the only two pictures I know of Chris Gregor and his son. Was one the first day he took him out hiking, and this was, when he first became active in Corey's life, and then that picture. Those are the only two known pictures of Chris Gregor with Corey.
Wow.
And I think he took it as to say, haha, this could be the last picture. Because, see, I know how he works and I know what he's all about. Other people might not know it, but I had to deal with him. And I know in his mind, he took that picture because he knew Bree was going to see it. And that would be the last picture of her son that she would ever see.
Mm.
Kathleen asked, did they use that in court?
It was shown, yes. It was. The prosecutor showed that picture. Yep. And it was about, if I'm correct, it was about an hour and 10 minutes prior to Corey's death, an hour. You could see in the picture, Corey was lifeless. He didn't need to be sitting on the couch taking selfies with him. He needed to have an ambulance there. But, he didn't call an ambulance because, are you guys aware that when you call an ambulance, who comes first?
Police.
Yeah. And what would have happened if the cops came first? What happened to this child? They would have detained Chris for questioning, and he didn't want to do that.
Mindy's coming in with some good comments here. Was Selfie texting a girl a pic of him smiling while Corey was laying there? And did Chris have a girl sleep over the morning that Corey passed and leave early that morning?
He had, so this is what happened. The night before, as you know, Brianna took Corey to the pediatrician, who then sent her to the hospital because Corey revealed the abuse to the pediatrician. And so Bree had him at the hospital, but he was due to go back to Chris that night because he had school the next day. And so Bree kept in touch with Chris, and he was entertaining a young woman from Pennsylvania that he met on I don't know, what do they call those sites, Get Laid or Screw Me or something, you know, one of those dating sites. I don't know. He had a girl over there he was entertaining, doing his coke and, you know, partying up. So he didn't want to be bothered if now the kid comes home, because he was mad that Bree had Corey longer than she should have, but she had been told to go to the hospital, and DCPMP was aware and involved and on the phone and whatever. So Chris wanted Corey home so he could tuck him into bed so he could party, because it would have interrupted the party if Bree brought him home at 1 a.m. So he stopped answering Bree's calls and then reported Corey as being kidnapped. And then stopped answering the calls because then he was partying. So that's why Corey came home to our house, and Bree took him home the next morning. And the girl left before Corey. As far as we know, the girl left Chris's house prior to Corey coming home. I don't know that to be a fact, but that's what we were told. So yeah, he entertained a lot of people, women, men, girls, boys, whatever. Chris did a lot of entertaining, to my knowledge. I believe that's how he supplemented his income, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but that's okay. Listen, I do what you want. Just don't beat my grandson to death, right?
Exactly.
You know, I don't care. You swing off the damn chandelier with the, you know, the Pope. I don't care. Just leave my grandson alone. You didn't have to kill him. You know, that's what I say. Do we have any more on the video, Toddy? I don't even remember now.
No, that was the end of it.
Yeah, I'm ready to hear about this appeal, though.
Yeah, but Toddy, I just want to thank you for putting up with my ignorance when it comes to all this internet stuff and videos. I just, maybe a couple years ago, before all this, my mind would have been better. I hate to keep telling you people how I'm not okay, but I'm not. I don't absorb things like I used to. I can't focus. So it's very hard for me to do this stuff. So I appreciate you and Jamie for
You're
all
very welcome. Very,
you know,
very welcome.
It's just something that I know you tell me how to do things, and I write it down and then I don't remember where I wrote it, or it doesn't make sense to me. So, you know, I'm sorry that I have to keep asking how to do things, but I just don't get it. But
yeah, don't worry about it, Rebecca. It's okay to not be okay. It's
yeah,
okay. It's
you
fine.
know, it's I can't help it.
So
Anyway,
was somebody asked, was Chris a gigolo? I don't want to say the word. I know how to say it, by the way.
Yeah,
I love the Santa mug.
I think that would be a proper term, right, Toddy? I mean, I call him a whore. I don't know.
Okay. Well, if he's then that would be the nicer way.
To my knowledge, one of his ex-girlfriends told me. I won't mention her name because I want to protect her, you know, because when he comes out, we're all going down. We know it, you know. I don't want to say who, but she has had email proof of what he does. But it didn't come into court because what does that have to do with this, right? We can't prove what kind of person he is, because then that would
character has nothing to do with it, Rebecca. Don't you understand? Character is
exactly right. Only Brianna's character had something to do with it, right?
Right. And they had to lie about that.
Yeah. So, you know, to answer your question, he was a paid whore. He gave that dick out like Halloween, let me tell you, trick or treating.
I thought you had to be kind of good looking to do that. I don't know.
Well, I guess some people find him very handsome, you know. I mean, listen, I think his family, they're not ugly people. I'll give you that. They were not bad looking family, I got to say.
Chris is not a bad looking guy. He's
not
ugly because of what's inside of him.
Right.
But to look at a picture of him, he's an attractive looking man. In all fairness, he is. But that doesn't make him a good man. Just makes him an attractive man.
He's ugly inside.
In other words, the gift wrap is really, really nice, but the present sucks.
Right. Once if you get to know him, he's not a nice man. He looks real nice, but then when you open him up, he's a lump of coal, he's shit. But Marissa Monroe is asking, he had to stop being a teacher when he came from Baltimore. I know Gallucci touched on this in the Law and Crime. Chris came from Baltimore and gave up his teaching job to come here and take care of Corey. Not true. He lost that job because he beat a girl and had a restraining order against him for the domestic violence charge. And he also dabbled in, he had a mail order business selling illegal stuff over, through the mail, and got caught.
Wow.
So he was terminated from his teaching job. He didn't give it up to come here and take care of Corey because we were so bad and not able to take care of Corey. So to answer your question, was he a worker and teacher, a sex worker and teacher? Not at the same time, no. But those were things on his resume. I don't know if he put the prostitution part on his resume, but I know he has teacher on there. I don't know if he had his master's in sex work or not. I'd have to look that up. But yeah, somebody just said, Mindy said, Ted Bundy was a handsome guy, and yeah, you attract people, but then you do what you do to them and you're no longer that good looking guy. You're ugly then, when people find out. But anyway, let's talk about the appeal real quick, because I know everybody's got better things to do than sit here and look at me in my flannel nightgown. And by the way, like I said, some people called me out in the Law and Crime about my red face. I must be an alcoholic. No, guys, I have rosacea. It's my nose stays red, my face stays red. I bought some wonderful makeup from Macy's, but I'm not fake, and so I don't put it on. I don't hide it. Don't have to. So yeah, I come on here in my pajamas with my ugly red face, and this is me. So, sorry to disappoint all those that think I'm a strung out alcoholic, drug addict, something. I'm not. Sorry. This is just how I look. Anyway.
And would you look at that? Rebecca's so beautiful on the inside, it doesn't matter what she's wearing.
Yeah,
That's right.
Thank you for that. But, it's, I just, this is me, and we're not fake. And when we did the Law and Crime interview, they came to my house and they said, be who you are. So should we have gone out and gotten hair and makeup done and wore a business suit? I don't know about you guys, but that's not how I roll in my house. I stay like this. I got nowhere to go. This is what I look like.
I feel you, Rebecca. I feel you, especially with the snow on the ground. I ain't going nowhere except walking the dogs. I'm in my pajamas. I just keep throwing shit over I'll just throw a shirt over what I slept in and do a video and then take a shower and redo it all over again.
Yeah, no, this is how I plan to stay today. I don't think I'm going anywhere. So I didn't get dressed for you guys. Sorry. And those of you that, love and accept me, you don't care what I look like on here.
Exactly.
So, and I appreciate all of you. So the appeal. I spoke with the Attorney General last week, and the appeal was sent back to Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. The Attorney General's reviewed it, and they're not going to handle the appeal. The Ocean County Prosecutor's Office Appellate Division will be handling it. And I have to say, the word clemency was brought up back in the summer. And if you guys follow anything in New Jersey, our governor here has released some very not so nice people from the very jail that Chris is sitting in, the very prison that Chris Gregor is sitting in, has released over 100 inmates that were convicted of heinous crimes, murder, etc. And with Chris's background of having no priors, because let's face it, he was not convicted of all those bad things he did. And he has a master's degree in education and comes from a well-respected law enforcement family. It wouldn't be impossible for him to be one of those that are released, because he can be rehabilitated. He can get out and do good. On paper, says that. You guys know that. So that word was brought up in June or July to me. And it's with the governor releasing all those people from that very prison, it could happen. That's scary.
Yeah, that's scary. Very scary.
Yeah. Can we write to the governor? I mean, is there anything that we can do to help this not happen?
The only thing, if Mindy, if you're still in the chat, you know that S40 whatever number I gave you for Corey's law. If
she's still in the chat. She's still
Mindy, I don't have it written. I'm sorry, but I don't have the the bill number, the S40 something, if Mindy could post that in the chat and people could write to, if people in, I don't even know if you have to be in New Jersey, if anybody wants to write to any of our local assembly people or, I can't think right now. I'm so sorry. I hate when this happens to me. What are they called? Your state representatives?
She just said, hold on. Mindy said, hold on. So I guess she's going to
Yeah,
go get
I mean,
that.
It's just your representatives. That's, your governor
right.
and
What are they called? Not assemblymen. What are they called?
the commissioners.
I can't think right now. Isn't that awful? I hate that I'm like this. God damn, Chris Gregor, I hate you. He did this to me. I'm telling you. He fucked up my head. Senators, our New Jersey state senators, if anybody feels inclined to write and ask them to please back what we're referring to as Corey's Law, there's a bill number, S something.
It's Senator Amato's office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I dealt with Senator Owen Henry. He's my local representative in the town that I live in. So I guess every district.
Senator Amato is the
Amato,
sponsor
okay.
of the bill. Can you put that up?
Yeah.
Put that comment up there, please.
Yep. I believe I don't want to give you the wrong bill number because that wouldn't be good. I'm trying to look through some of my notes. I'm sorry. I just.
You can put it up as a post, Rebecca, after the stream, and then that way everybody
I'll
can get to
that.
it.
Unfortunately, I don't see it in my notes. Gosh, I hate that. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing. If we can get that, law passed to save hopefully another child and family from going through this. But as far as his appeal, unfortunately, it's sealed and nobody seems to, I asked the Attorney General and they don't know why. I'm in contact with the prosecutor's office, but I haven't gotten an answer back because they were only just given it, last week. They realized that they are handling, or the week, it was not last Friday, but the one before. So they've only had it back in their hands for about a week. So, I don't know how we can get to maybe just writing to the prosecutor's office giving reasons why can you imagine if he got out at the age he is now? I mean, he'll be out by the way it is in his 50s and can still do harm. But imagine if he gets out. You know how many of us have to go into hiding, basically? Do you know how bad that's going to be for my daughter and her family? The fear that we're going to live in with him out on the streets. Do you know what he's capable of? I do.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah.
There are so many women that fear him right now that came forward and spoke to the prosecutors during trial. And he knows that.
The senator needs to know this.
Yeah.
So
we
need to write to him. Absolutely.
We need Corey's Law to protect other families and other children. But most importantly, right alongside that, what about us, the victims, Bree, her family, her daughter? If he's out, she'll be looking over her shoulder more than she does now. We're already fearful because we fear that others, he tried to get someone to out Brianna or off Brianna while he was in county jail.
Oh,
we still live in fear, because we don't know if he's going to make good on that and if it's going to happen. Marissa's asking, call, write, email. I mean, I guess I would start with email and then maybe follow it up with a letter. I don't know if you can get anybody on the phone. You could try, and I appreciate it. Mindy's saying, I'm going to put this up, that Senator Amato takes calls, because I believe Mindy spoke with Senator Amato's office last week. But I think this is a start, getting people to reach out, even if you're not from New Jersey. Maybe that's even better, other people. But as far as us, letting, the prosecutor's office who's handling the appeal now, being that we don't know what the appeal's based on, I don't know why they keep us in the dark. I mean, how can you not tell the victim, the family, what his appeal is based on? Why are we not allowed to know that? You know,
I don't
and
know.
I don't have an
Yeah, that
answer.
doesn't make sense.
And the Attorney General's office didn't understand why it's sealed, you know, and they gave me a list of reasons why, but none of those seem to fit this case, because it says if the victim is a minor, well, yeah, Corey was a minor, but he's no longer here because of that scumbag. So how are you protecting him? You should have protected him before, you know?
Mhm.
So that doesn't come into play. The only thing I can think of is there was another clause in there stating that to protect the accused, so like it doesn't tarnish him for, you know, if he is granted an appeal, he needs to be able to come out and get gainful employment and stuff. So we have to protect him. We have to protect.
I don't even understand. I can't even wrap my head around the fact that somebody would look at just the treadmill video and the picture of Corey, the last picture of Corey, and the bruises and stuff that you guys put online, you know, later that showed. I can't imagine why he would be allowed to walk the streets and conceive another child. I
Right.
just don't understand, and have access to other people's kids. This guy, his anger or whatever it is, and I do say that it has something to do with his dad, because I think that Chris feels some kind of way with his dad, like he hasn't like met the mark or something. There's so much shit going on with
that's
this
very
guy
true.
that he took it out on his own son, and I don't think that has gone anywhere. You know,
Right. I'm just going to put in comments. I found the bill number that you can refer to if anybody decides to write
Okay,
to
perfect.
state senator or assemblyman or whatever. I found it. It's just S4093. It should come up. There it is.
Yeah, I
So
see it.
if anybody feels inclined to write, please include that so they know what you're talking about.
so you should put up a link that has that and the place to write
Well,
to
the thing is, Toddy,
Senator Amato.
right. I guess I can put Amato's information, but like every, I don't want to call it district, but every county, has a different senator. But I guess it would be okay to address Senator Amato, being that he's the one supporting this bill.
Yeah.
Right now. So I guess, yeah, I'll try to get that information and I'll put it up later on. But I would appreciate if anybody could, you know, write. I think it's important that they see that, you know, everybody is in support of this new, hopefully what we're calling Corey's Law. Somebody's said, does Chris have other children? And none that I'm aware of, or he's probably not aware of. He has a history of abusing other children, you know, not his own, but I don't know if he has anymore. Not to my knowledge. I sure hope not. None that he'll ever get to meet or be in contact with. But that's a scary thought, because let's face it, if he's 50 something when he comes out, he can still have children, or at least get involved.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Exactly. And he still could have access to children. He can
even
meet
if they're not
somebody
his.
that
Yeah.
has children.
Exactly.
And he shouldn't be teaching for sure. Anybody.
No.
He shouldn't be able to hold any license or anything that's going to put him. I mean, let's face it, the general public isn't safe around him. He abused women and other people. He's not a good person. He's not one that should be released due to no priors or whatever, because, you know, he had priors. He just wasn't convicted of them. He was charged, but not convicted. And, you know, that's so unfair.
Okay, Mindy says that the bill went to a committee which is public. However, we have not been given notice of the meeting.
Right.
DCP&P is probably there. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there is a civil suit against the state of New Jersey and DCP&P. So I don't know if that I don't know how all this stuff works. I don't know politics or anything. So I don't know if, you know, this pending lawsuit has anything to do with this new bill or law. You know, I don't know if everything's connected. I don't know if the appeal is sealed due to the lawsuit, I have so many questions that are probably never going to get answered, unfortunately. You know, it was hard hearing that we're not going to know what his appeal is based on, which I think is so ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, it's just really, we protect the defendants, the criminals. And it's just, I mean, what harm would it be for us to know what his appeal is based on?
I don't understand that. I'm sure that there's some sort of law, like you said, that just you know, that is a protection for him. And in the meantime, your grandson's not here anymore. So I mean, it's not fair.
He wasn't protected. And so we're not
Exactly.
protecting a minor by not publishing that, you know, because the minor has already been failed. He's no longer here.
Exactly.
He wasn't
That's
protected,
cool.
you know. But yeah, so that's basically all I have on the appeal. And I just want to, you know, again, thank everybody who sent me Christmas cards and things. And I apologize. I'm not one to send cards. I haven't done it since all of this happened. I just don't do the things I used to do. And I'm not making excuses. You know, I'm trying to be a better person and get back to a normal life, because I have people that are here and living here now, and I need to be good for them. And I can't be upset and sad all the time. So I mean, I've decorated my house for Christmas. I'm shopping. I got my Santa mug that I showed you before, and I have several others. And I'm really trying to be cheerful and happy, because I have to live in the present. And I know that. And, you know, it doesn't mean we forgot Corey or Gino or any of this awful shit that happened. I'm still fighting.
Can I stop you there? Can I just stop you there? I don't think because as your friend, I don't think you ever stop thinking about them. And I think you are so concerned about people thinking you forgot about them, and you can't, because you can't do that. You will never, and everybody knows that. And you're going to have haters, and you're going to exhaust yourself trying to defend. And here's the thing, there shouldn't be, if you use any kind of critical mind, it has nothing to do with you, Rebecca. Nothing. Nobody should murder a fucking child. End of story. Okay? That has nothing to do with you. And you've got to realize that you are guilt-free in this, and don't let people hold that over you because of their own hate, or because they're trying to be they're in love with Chris Gregor, or because the family is trolling you, or friends of the family are trolling you. You will always have that. But nobody with any mind and any heart thinks that you go a day or a minute without thinking of your grandson or your son. We know that. So just don't exhaust yourself trying to with these haters.
As you know, I made that horrible post, that video, and cursed and screamed and told everybody to F themselves and suck something. And I said I wasn't going to answer or respond to any of the negativity on the law and crime, and I haven't. I gave it up that day. I can't focus on the negative, because like I said, I have a granddaughter and a family, and I have to be here and present, and I have to be okay for them. And I'm trying, and I think I'm doing okay. You know, I'm not focusing on those negatives. I came here to address the law and crime thing, and just let everybody know, things that were not accurate. And like I said, I'm not bashing law and crime or Dennis Mitchell. Again, I think they're all wonderful people. They got Corey's story out there. Dennis Mitchell can only speak on what he's given. And like I said, he came in when there was a homicide to investigate, because that's what he is, a homicide investigator. That's where Dennis Mitchell came into the case. So, he doesn't know all the custody and all. He knows what was presented, for him to do his job, and that's it. And, so I'm not bashing him. I think the world of him and the prosecutor's office. Was it a bumpy ride with them? Yes, I cursed them and, had some issues along the way. But I do think that they fought hard and got us what justice we're going to get. But, although I think it's not enough, that's all we were able to get. And I have to accept that. And it's not because they did anything wrong or didn't try. It's our justice system. This is just how it works, unfortunately. So, you know, I'm grateful for all of them. I don't have anything bad to say about the prosecutor's office or anybody other than DCPMP and the Gregors and Galucci. You know, they can still go fuck off and suck a dick. But, you know, sorry guys, you know what you're dealing with here. I go off a little bit and I can't help it. But, yeah, that's it. I wanted to come on. I'm grateful that all of you came to listen to this. I'll continue to update on the appeal, but I don't think I'm ever going to have much to update you on, but whatever I get, I'll give. I'm always open. I'll update you on the civil suit that Brianna's involved in with the state and DCPMP. I'll give you guys as much as I get and as much as I'm allowed to give, you know. And of course, I'm going to continue to do the Monday mornings with Toddy and talk about addiction. And I mean, I guess we talk about pretty much everything, but
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
as long
we
as
get through. We
just
get through
talk
life.
about life. We just talk about life.
we do, we talk about just
If
everything.
anybody wants to speak tomorrow, reach out to me. I'll send you a link. You could join the panel. I just asked somebody if they wanted to speak now. Somebody emailed me, but I don't know if they're ready.
Yeah, and I think we were going to talk about music or something. We got on the topic last week. Weren't we going to talk about, I don't know, music or something this week too, if we didn't have anything else to talk about? I think I remember that. I don't know. Could have been somebody else, something else.
No, I think that you're right. Well, whatever we talk about will be there.
Yeah,
We're
and
gonna
that's
be
the
there.
important thing is we're there.
Right,
You know,
We're
right.
going to be there.
Absolutely.
And I might still have this flannel nightgown on. I can't promise you guys anything. I don't know. So don't judge me if I'm in the same nightgown tomorrow.
Nobody's judging you, Rebecca, I promise. And if they are, they could, what did you say? Don't say it again.
You know what I said. You know very well what I said. But anyway, I think we'll cut out now. Thank you, everybody.
I would put up the last comment here by Marissa. I would
absolutely.
put that comment by Marissa up. There you go.
I think I got the right one, right?
Yep.
But thank you, everybody, for spending time with me this morning. I'll see hopefully all of you tomorrow with Toddy. I know Jamie will be there, or I hope she is going to be there. And I'm just, thank you to everyone again who sent me cards and little gifts. You just don't know how much that made me so happy. I was so grinning ear to ear, and I don't do that too much, as you know. I don't smile much. So made my day. Thank you again, all of you. And I hope to see you all tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Everybody.
Have a good day,
Thanks,
guys. Have a
guys.
good
Bye, everyone.
Sunday, and be careful, everybody, and warm.
Yeah,
Bye,
be
guys. Much
careful
love.
out there. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.